And we are back.
We are back, bumble bitches.
Today is a Friday episode.
It is. Today's a Friday episode.
But we're going to treat it like a podcast.
Okay.
We got an email in the other night that involved D&D. And I want to talk about it, even though I haven't read it yet. But it's relationship shit, not D&D shit. I mean, it's both, from what I understand. How's everybody's Friday doing? We have time as she's looking for the email.
Yep, I have to go back into the chat. I remember Janae said how to get to it. I just don't remember.
Angel said, I need that shirt. It says on the bottom, because I make a living and not take my living. Really tends to bother people who are, don't want to work. It's a really nice fuck you to everybody.
Zach got it. All right, we're getting there.
She was clearly not prepared. This came from
the email is in looking for advice folder.
Crazy. It came from a Relentless Defender. We have a coupon code with them. To be better, it'll save you something or give you free shipping. Something. I don't remember. This is one of the first things I ever asked them for in terms of like when we started getting a name.
Yeah.
I was like, I want a coupon code. It took them 9 months to give me the coupon code, and by then I lost all interest.
Yeah.
So there's a code. It'll do something. I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe. Okay, I'm going to spit my gum out before we get into this.
Okay. It gives me so much anxiety.
What does?
That wet gum in that paper towel that you're squishing.
Why?
Textural.
Oh, I love the feeling
it's
of it.
so bad for me.
Yeah, I want to sit here and just squish it.
Nope, it makes me gag.
Yep.
It's taking everything I have not to make the noise.
I don't like the stickiness of gum, but when it's wrapped up in something else, let's go. It's like warm, silly putty.
I don't like this.
You can see the opposite ends of the spectrum happening.
I don't want to be here right now. I don't want to be here anymore.
Hey!
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, we play D&D on Twitch on Saturdays with Zach, Jenny, Chris, and his wife Rachel.
We also play on Sundays. I mean, it's at Fridays.
Right.
I'm so excited. I'm sorry.
Peaches and Carrie. So tonight we play our D&D game.
Yes.
Tomorrow night we play your D&D game where I DM.
Right.
Because D&D is such a heavy topic, when this came through, Zach was like, we just got our first ever D&D email. I'm like, fucking yes. Where is it? I want to read it.
Right.
He's like, you should wait. I'm like, okay, I'll wait.
Okay. So we've waited.
So I've waited. I want to read it.
How hard was it for you to wait?
It's like putting a gift that says my name on it, but I'm not allowed to touch it. Like I can't even pick it up and shake it.
Oh, so you've just been pacing in your mind.
Yeah, a little bit, because I know it's there.
Because I know you would pace in front of the box.
Yeah. No, I would pick it up and shake it. I'm really good at like guessing.
Yeah. If you couldn't open it for 12 hours, I think you would pace in front of it.
Probably. I'd become Pope.
I was about to say your own version of Andrew.
That's funny.
That's hilarious that we went to the same page.
I don't know how long this will take.
Okay.
It could be 30 minutes. It could be an hour and 30 minutes. But I think we should just jump right into it and then hang out with Patreon for a little bit afterwards, since I cut the stream short on Wednesday.
Speaking of Patreon, we are currently recording live in front of our patrons.
Yep.
It's a blast. They get unfiltered, raw versions of the podcast before it ever gets to the masses.
Lots of inappropriate comments. Lots of silliness. It happens. Chris Dennison said worse than teeth. The teeth thing bothers me for a different reason. I have trauma from the teeth thing.
Yeah.
The gum thing is just a textural thing.
Oh, you said you have trauma from a teeth thing, and now my teeth hurt every time I think about it.
Well, that's because you know why I have the trauma over the teeth.
Every time I think about it, yeah. You know that feeling of having chicken stuck between your teeth? Mm-hmm. That's the feeling I have, but in the root of my tooth, and I feel like I want to take it out when I think about your story. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get into the email.
Yeah, let's jump into this.
Before we jump into this, I saw Danish right there said, laugh my ass off. Never anything inappropriateness happening. Never any inappropriateness happening. This morning, right after you got your massage, I was standing in the kitchen making our morning protein shakes, and you smacked my butt, and I giggled and I said, thank you. And then I heard Jess laughing in the living room.
Yep. Did you hear what she said afterwards?
No, I didn't.
She's like, every time my man does that to me, I'm like, yes, I still got it.
Yep, that's exactly how that feels.
That's funny.
That's fun.
He also told me to do Epsom salt baths 3 times a day.
I have magnesium oil for your back.
Well, I asked him about that. I'm like, bro, I got a big ass tub. Like, I don't have a normal person tub. I have a 3-person tub.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of fucking water, and I'm on a well. Like, if I took 3 baths in a day and over the course of a week, all my salt would be gone.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I was like, so what about my hot tub? Because I have a 12-person hot tub. I can get in the hot tub and then just spray myself with magnesium oil. And he's like, yeah, that works. He said that my biggest problem right now is that everything back there is inflamed.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. And he said that I'm showing arthritis back there as well. Fucking yay.
All right. So into the email. This is titled Uncomfortable D&D Interaction. Themes include D&D, role play, and boundaries. I can already see how inappropriate this can get.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this is exactly what it's going to be. I'm okay, because I didn't read it.
Me either.
Somebody at the table said some inappropriate shit.
Yeah.
And somebody in a relationship fed into it.
Yes.
And I'm willing to bet that that's what's happening.
Or played along with it and then called it role playing.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. So we are on the same hypothesis.
Yep.
Jumping into this. Let's go.
Jump into conclusions like a fucking gymnast.
Should join the Olympics.
I got a bad back.
I mean, that one chick could do breakdancing. You can do anything.
Oh, you're right. And she did that shit with full confidence, looking like a fucking velociraptor out there, jumping around like a rabbit and shit.
Did you see that? Yep. I'm so glad I didn't whip my head. You remember that time I gave myself whiplash?
That time? You mean those times? Because it's happened a couple times.
Oh, there's the neck support. Oh, everything is so fragile back there. Okay. I just had a thought. I gotta take a deep breath. I'm so sorry. I think I'm so fucking funny.
I'm glad that you think you're that funny.
Yep. Okay. I'm crying. I need to take a breath. Okay. I just gotta say it. So with my neck hurting like this, like I really just had to put this up to get some support in my neck because she's hurting. And I was like, ooh, girl, you really got to keep throwing it back for your man now while you can, because one day you're going to do it and hurt your hip.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to do it every moment I can, babe. Because I love you and you deserve that.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Alexander said, I just listened to that podcast with the whiplash and speed bump. First time watching you guys live. That's funny. That speed bump shit happened as we were leaving the movie theater. You're like, I think I got whiplash from that.
Yeah. Oh, God. My body moves so much. I'm like a rag doll. Like, I know if we ever truly get into a car accident, I'm just going to...
Projectile?
Or flop. Like, I don't think, like, I'm going to be like a drunk person. When they get into a car accident, they have minimal energies because, injuries. Because their body just goes limp.
Yep.
And just every time we go over anything in a car, I'm just... Yep. Into the email. Good evening, Chris and Peach. I, 30 female, want to start off by saying that my husband, 32 male, and I thoroughly enjoy your content and listen to your podcast, which spawns some really in-depth conversations. Love that. Now, I can't remember if Chris plays D&D or not, but this question is regarding a really uncomfortable interaction that happened about 2 weeks ago between a new person at the table and my husband, who was our DM.
Why are you looking at me? I didn't fucking do anything. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm not looking at you like you did anything. I'm looking at you because you called me. And I read that, and my first thought was, I want to play a game that's not D&D. Come out on my little fucking tricycle. I'm going to excuse myself from the table for a moment, guys. You guys keep playing D&D and then I just come out like that. I have to make my anger a joke or it's violence.
That's why I said, why are you looking at me like that?
Because you calmed me.
That's not the look I got. There was no calm in that look.
Because I'm not. That wasn't me looking at you like you were guilty. That's me going, oh my gosh, I'm feeling some sort of way about this. My husband's nice to look at. I'm gonna have a dream about this, and Dream You is gonna take care of it. Don't worry. My husband and I have jokes about how much of a dick Dream Hem is.
Oh man,
it's rarely ever nice dreams.
Do you think it's residual from when we first met?
Maybe.
Also, I found that the headband. It was here. It was in the room. I found it right after we finished recording.
Yeah.
It was laying underneath a C stand with a cord around the base of it, so it looked like part of the cord. Yep.
Yeah.
I knew that fucking thing was in there. That was it.
I know, but my mind is just going lollipop. And Carrie's over here like, yeah, and she's eating a lollipop. That's funny. I like working here. This is fun. All right, continuing on. For context, this person played in our single session level 20 dungeon crawl and has played for the 2 sessions of our new campaign. The new campaign consists of myself, my husband, his sister, her husband, a male friend, and his prospective girlfriend. Okay.
Yeah, so let's break down all of that because there's a lot that needs to be addressed here. Yes, I do play D&D. Yes, you play D&D.
Correct.
I also DM.
Yes.
That's number 1. Prospective girlfriend is that he's trying to holler at this chick and she's playing D&D there.
Right.
So it's not even like they're a thing yet. He's hopeful.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I want to point out is it's very rare for people to actually play a level 20 character. Mm-hmm. Most people that play D&D never see level 20. So it's cool of him to run a fucking one shot where everybody's level 20 because you get a whole lot of powerful shit at that level.
That's
you guys
dope.
are like gods. So.
I would run everything and I'd be chaotic with it. I'd hardly quit it. Yep. I can't do it in my real life because it'll ruin my reality, but in game form.
Yep. Well, the problem with doing dungeon crawls and like single session one-off games where you're that high of a level, there's no real story there. It's just puzzles and combat.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
All right. Continuing on. We were given a task to figure out where a group of people dropped off equipment and report back. I wanted to go to some taverns or talk to the gate guards. 2 other players decided to just go to the town gate and wait for everyone. Another went to stock up on supplies. And this person decided to go to a brothel. Okay, so I'm assuming this person is the girl she's talking about.
But that's a safe assumption.
Okay, I'm going to go with that assumption. At the brothel, she asked to speak to the madam to inquire about the whereabouts of this group. The madam, my husband, asked her what she was to offer in exchange for the information, and she offered sexual favors in the form of her forked tongue, since she's a Yanti. While D&D is a game of role-playing, I felt completely disrespected by this, and I no longer want them at our table, but I fear I could be overreacting.
Okay, so let's pause right there. I don't know how long the email is, but let's address that. That situation as a DM would have made me uncomfortable, period.
Right.
That whole situation doesn't need to be role-played out. Mm-hmm. Persuasion check or performance check, whichever you would prefer.
Yeah.
I don't need to know the details of it.
And then either you get the information or you don't.
Right. Do you view that as just a reason for them to talk dirty to each other? Or do you think that they were just playing the game? What do you think?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes.
There's really no information here, right? Like we just have what she says. And what she says is rooted in how she feels about it. So what was gameplay like prior to that? Was she making you uncomfortable before that comment? Did you feel like there was any shoots being shot? Like she was trying to see if there was a chink in the armor of your guys' relationship prior to this conversation? Because then I would view that as she's trying to be sexual in front of me and do whatever women like that try to do to get a taken man.
Okay. So then how about this? just to continue your thought process.
Okay.
If she hadn't shot her shot and was not trying to flirt with the husband at all,
Yeah.
and in the game she was trying to get advantage on her role because she has a forked tongue and it was a woman
Right.
talking to a woman, they were
I
gonna
would
treat her
just,
like a lollipop.
I would just
and-
judge her as someone go like, oh, that's how you would choose to play this game.
right. So would that be the end of it for you, or
I would shit talk her afterwards. Yeah.
her
I mean,
or her
no.
character?
The character, the way she chose to play the character.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't find D&D a place to be hypersexual like that.
I don't either. It makes people uncomfortable.
Right. So
For example, bards are known for fucking things in the games. Like
Right.
people that play bards normally do so to be inappropriate. So whenever I get a bard at my table that wants to do things like seduce the dragon, I'm like, all right, roll. You won. You wake up tomorrow and your asshole hurts. You were fucked by a dragon, because it stops that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they never do that shit at the table anymore. But as a DM, I don't reward play like that because it does make people uncomfortable at the table.
Right.
But I've not been on a player side of that where that's happened in a game, because I've never had a brothel happen in the thing. Like normally, if somebody wants to try to take a woman to a room in a game, the DM just stops there. Like you don't need. This is no different than watching television, and all of a sudden there's a sex scene.
right.
You can turn the light off, take a deep breath, and go to the next thing. You don't.
Right.
You know what the fuck's happened. The lights just turned off. You
Fade
heard the
to
gasp.
black.
Right.
Right.
So why would you play that out? That leads me to think.
That makes me think it's a kink.
Oh, okay. I didn't think
Like
about that.
if you want to sit there and role play this whole sex scene in front of 6 other people, I think this is a kink.
I don't know how I feel about this.
What do you mean? I mean, okay, so can I elaborate on my thought?
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel any ill will towards her. I wouldn't feel like she's trying to take my man or that was disrespectful to me. I would just be like, oh, ew. Okay, noted. You're not my friend. Like you're here playing D&D because of whatever reason you're here. Someone brought you, or this dude's trying to fuck you. You're not a regular guest in my household. You have very little impact on my life. You're not going to take up space in my mind.
Okay. So then where would the line be crossed where you would start to think that's a thing? Because now she is playing in a regular campaign with them. So she's over there. I mean, if they're playing weekly games, she's now
Right.
there every week.
If that is the first instance where she tried to do something sexual like that, and some people try to be funny with it. Some people get a kick out of sexual jokes. I am not somebody who gets a kick out of sexual jokes. I do have dark humor, though.
Right.
I have very dark humor. Everyone has their different level of spicy when they order from Taco Bell. Like, it would become a problem for me if every time a decision was made, she tried to be a prostitute about it.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
Like, if you're going to the blacksmith and you're like, I'll give you a hand job for free weapons. And then you go to a potion store and you're like, I'll give you head if you give me these 6 potions.
Right.
Then I'd have a conversation with you as the DM outside of the campaign and be like, look, this is starting to make me feel like she's being disrespectful, not to our relationship, but to the game.
Okay.
Like, people are here to play a game and get involved and have fun. And I feel like I'm watching a porn scene every session.
I mean, if this is the extent of what was wrong, I can see that this is one of those things that should have just been handled out of game.
Yeah.
And if this is the first time anything like this has happened, I don't see how. I think it would depend on how he played into it, though.
That's a good point. You want to continue reading?
No, because
Okay.
I don't know. There was something I was going to say after I answered the phone. I don't remember what it was.
I was talking about how I view it as a kink if she did that every single time. Or they role played it out together.
There are people that play D&D solely to. I know for a fact that people use D&D as therapy. It's actually something that therapists are learning how to DM so that they can take kids who have been traumatized through role play games so that they can heal themselves. I know for a fact that there are people in my life that I've been in games with who have real life aspirations that carry that shit into the game. And if that's what's going on in that scenario and the DM is then playing into that, I would see that as a flirty interaction if that's what they're wanting to do. So you're right in that
Okay.
aspect. If it is some sort of weird kink for this chick and he's playing into it, at what point do you think that it's going to not become a role play thing? Especially if they're doing it in front of everyone and it's just a game. It's no big deal. They're just playing their characters.
I'd blow up that whole campaign.
Yeah.
You're never fucking stepping foot in this house until my husband and I figure out our shit.
But where does that start and stop for you? I guess is what I'm asking.
The moment you don't shut down, like you said. The first time it happens and she keeps trying to play into it and you don't shut it down in the campaign, we're having a conversation.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. We can go on then.
I saw somebody say, I feel like him asking her what she'd do in return for the info was just inviting bad comments. So I want to reread what she said. My husband asked her what she has to offer in exchange for the information. I don't view that as inviting for bad comments. What do you have in exchange for this information?
Right. Well, that could be gold.
Right.
It could be a magic item.
It could be more information.
Right.
I feel like that's a reasonable question to answer. To ask. What are you willing to do in exchange? Definitely sounds like it has bad intentions, but you rephrased that.
Yeah, but as a DM, I wouldn't ask it that way either.
Right.
I would never, well, what do you have to offer? Mm-hmm. That's not what I would ask. I would be specific. If you want to make a deal, I want money or I want information or you go do this side quest.
Right.
I as the DM, I know what you have on your character sheets. I fucking gave it to you. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm just looking for you to tell me everything on your character sheet, that's not something I'm going to ask you.
Right.
And if you play on D&D Beyond, all you got to do is click on their character sheet. You can see their entire fucking inventory. You know everything. You know how much money they've got. It's all there.
Right.
And as the DM, you can see that. So in that scenario, I got to be honest, I would probably send them on a quest. Do you want this information? You need to go do this for me.
Right.
This is where we're going to not see the same way because I actually agree with that comment. That is an inviting, what do you have to offer?
Well, that's not...
At a brothel. How was it worded?
It was worded... He asked her what she has to offer in exchange.
Right.
So what do you have to offer? I feel like the answer could be gold.
Yeah.
It could be some background information on this dude that you hate.
Maybe that's just the difference between me as a DM and him as a DM. That could just be a me thing.
Yeah.
It's my cognitive bias. Mm-hmm. I would use as a plot hook.
Right.
You're going to go steal some shit now. Like you guys are going to go kill somebody or I have some... This motherfucker's been ducking me. He owes me 20,000 gold. You go get that. I'll hook you up with whatever you need. Right? Like that's a plot hook. There's a reason now they're invested in the game. She's got a side mission she could go do.
Right.
That immerses you in the world. Not tell me what you have to offer. Like I guess that's a me thing. That probably is a me thing.
Okay. Continuing on. You want to keep reading?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to reread the last sentence and then continue on. The madam, my husband, asked her what she has to offer in exchange for the information, and she offered sexual favors in the form of her forked tongue since she is a Yanti.
Okay.
While D&D is a game of role-playing, I felt completely disrespected by this, and I no longer want them. This is like the whole... Okay. I would never flirt with anyone else's spouse or significant other at the table, regardless of it being in character, even if I wasn't married.
She said that in exchange for sexual favors, in whatever with the forked tongue, I want to know what was said.
Right.
Because I think that changes everything.
It does.
Because if they were like, I have a forked tongue, we could, dun, 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 and that was the end of it, and then they moved on, that's totally fine.
Right.
Because there's nothing there that was over the top sexual that would have made me engage with the character. I would just be like, roll, da-da-da,
right.
go. But if she actually specified the sexual favors and what she wanted to do and how they were going to do it, and it became a 5-minute
if it was more
back
than
and
one
forth,
sentence.
right?
If it was more than one sentence.
Right. That would be uncomfortable.
Right.
That would be uncomfortable for everybody at the table. People don't want
Yeah.
to listen to that shit.
Right. If she just said, so the DM said, what do you have to offer in exchange for this information? And she was like, sexual favors with my forked tongue.
It's comic. It's funny.
Right.
That would have been totally okay.
Okay.
You have
word.
advantage. Make your roll.
Right. You now have this information moving on in the game. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I agree. I guess the what was actually said matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way it was said. Okay. Continuing on, I had a conversation with my sister-in-law about it, and she made it seem like it wasn't a big deal since the guys flirt with him, in the form of making ice roses to get a discount on store prices and sometimes with a barmaid. I feel like those incidents are a lot less harmful, seeing as they're not asking for anything.
Oh, no.
It's the same situation.
It is the same situation.
I think you're insecure.
Yeah. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
She feels threatened by the woman,
Right.
not the dudes, because maybe the guy's not into guys. But
Right.
that situation is the same thing.
It is.
Okay. Also, I shut that shit down too.
You do.
As a DM, like, that shit's not funny to me.
Right.
I understand that there are people who run games like that. Vampire the Masquerade is a super sexual fucking... It's a vampire game. Like, you know, when people... Granted, it's probably been 35 years since I played that game, but it is a role-playing game, just like Dungeons and Dragons, but there's a whole lot of, you know, gothic nonsense in that game, and I think that would be more appropriate in that type of game than in a Dungeons and Dragons game. Because
I agree.
Okay.
Continuing on. So the last sentence was, I feel like those incidents are a lot less harmful, seeing as they're not asking for anything. And because my sister-in-law's character stripped in front of an NPC, my husband one time, which I also think was weird.
What? Okay.
Okay.
Can you just read it again? Because there's all the questions will just get answered if you just read it one more time.
And because my sister-in-law's character stripped in front of an NPC, played by the husband,
Okay.
one time, which I also think was weird.
That's his sister.
It is his sister.
Right, his sister.
Yeah.
So then they're just sexual people by nature.
All
and
of
that's
their
how
characters are sexual, it sounds.
Right.
So if the sister was like, my character gets naked to try and persuade this person to do what I want, roll for whatever. If it worked, it didn't work. Moving on.
Okay, but how does that look though? Because there's a difference between saying I'm going to get naked in front of this character and try to seduce him to get this.
Right.
Okay, roll.
Right.
Not I seductively take my top off.
Right.
And like explain
and then slowly
step
remove
by
my
step.
bra.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a very big difference in the way that goes that would make that an uncomfortable thing.
Right.
Sometimes you need a detail. How are you going to try to seduce him? Well, I'm going to get naked. Okay, roll. Mm-hmm. There's nothing inappropriate about that. You just told me what you're going to do.
Yeah. I thought of a way to make it funny.
Okay.
Get naked while singing, it's getting hot in here. See, if it's done like that, I don't view that as a slight towards my relationship.
Context. It really does come down to context.
Yeah. That stuff matters.
The guard is not impressed with your orangutan titties. You fail your saving throw. Damn. Like, I could ruin somebody's fucking psychological playing games like that.
Homie could have just said no.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely context that matters.
Yes. Continuing on. Mm-hmm. So my question to you guys is, how would you feel if another player who you barely know made sexual advances as their character to an NPC who is the DM and your spouse? I wouldn't feel anything because it's a game.
Right.
And she's not speaking to my husband. She's speaking to Elron, the dwarf owner of this tavern.
I think it would matter how.
Yeah.
I really think it would matter how. I got to be honest. If you were DMing a game and we were at a table with, but let's say that there's 5 other men at the table and you're DMing the game, and every opportunity they have to do something with you as an NPC, they are over the top, flirty, making googly eyes at you, and like I'm catching too much eye contact, or they're sitting too close to you, and there's inappropriate body language happening that's throwing off
or
red
they
flags
seem
for
too
me.
into this.
Right, both people.
Yeah.
Right, that would set off a red flag. But if it was just the way that we explained it, and it was just a quick explanation, a roll, and we move on, that's not a threat to my relationship in any way, shape, or form. It is a game.
Right.
When sexual scenes come on TV, does your husband watch the TV and like drool over the ass and like really get into those scenes, or do you fast forward through that shit? Because that will tell me a lot about your relationship.
Yeah.
We fast forward through that shit. It doesn't enhance the story for me.
Yeah. I fast forward through that shit when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Makes me uncomfortable. I don't need to see 3 guys having sex right now. Like, I don't need to see this chick making out with this dude for the 4th time in 10 minutes.
Yeah. It doesn't enhance the story at all.
It doesn't.
I want to, when we're done with this, actually address some of the comments about D&D in the chat that we can leave in.
Okay.
Just to fill some time.
Sounds good.
Because there are some pretty good questions popping up. So
All right, continuing.
Yep.
I also want to say that my husband is on my side and understands where I'm coming from. I'm not upset with him, and he didn't entertain the role playing she was trying to initiate.
Well, okay, so now there's definitely a lack of information.
Right.
Because from what she said, it doesn't sound like she's trying to initiate anything.
Right. It sounded like she... Right. We had the whole conversation already. I'm not going to repeat myself. But I wanted to touch on something before I forget. So the emailer just said, he's on my side.
Right.
So that means that there's a winning side and there's a losing side for you.
For her, absolutely.
Right. This is not about win or lose. Someone can have a different perspective from you and not be wrong.
That's true. It's perception.
I just wanted to put that out there before I forgot.
Yeah. If dude is entertaining it, I could see how it would become problematic.
Right.
I think she's insecure. And if the husband has a problem with it, as the DM, you're God at the table.
Yeah.
He simply needs to inform the person, hey, next time you come in, just so you know that the sexual innuendos at the tables makes people uncomfortable.
Making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I would say that shit. You're making me uncomfortable. I don't want to role play this with you. You're not my wife.
Yeah.
But if the whole table's doing it and she's the one person that you say this to, then that creates newer problems.
Right. Well, it should be addressed to everyone at the table.
Yeah.
But this also speaks to just normal interactions outside of the game. If you have a friend group, your friend group is going to act very similar in game as they act in real life as they're joking around and playing. That's normal.
Right.
So if you have somebody that is always funny, like you crack jokes constantly.
I do.
And when we play D&D, you're the comedic relief of the game.
Yeah.
All of your shit is funny. That is how you play the game. When I'm a player in D&D, I'm mischievous and like I like to create chaos and
Very serious.
right. But I also want to build empires and like take over cities and diabolical shit. In real life, if I could take over a city and run the fucking world, mastermind. I would do that.
Master of puppets.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh gosh. You want to headbang sometime? No, we can't do that. Not with our bodies. I had to put this up
What
for
a
neck support.
strange question.
What do you mean?
Want a headbang sometime?
Yeah.
You want? What are you wanting? Like a Wayne's World episode where we're in the
Maybe.
car just fucking thrashing?
Yeah.
I don't have no hair.
I have I have that Ace Ventura wig if you want to participate.
I'm good. I don't think that your wig would stay on my head if we were thrashing around.
Oh, we're still reading an email.
Yes.
I'm over here petting this plant, just enjoying talking to you. Yeah. I realize you guys generally address couple questions and questions with issues between couples. So I want to pause there before I continue reading. We'll answer any questions. I don't know. I'm willing to answer a lot of questions. It doesn't have to be relationship related. If you need help figuring out how to get out of the rut that you've been stuck in for the last 6 years and you're depressed and you're anxious and you're too scared to go outside anymore and you want to email somebody just to get perspective on your situation, do that. If you're having a hard relationship with one of your parents and you need different perspective on how to talk to them because they're Gen X, is that what it is? I don't know the generations. I don't know what I am. Z? Why are you looking at me like that?
Why you gotta make me feel old? I'm Gen X.
What's Gen Z? Why did you just make a Z at me? No, I'm thinking of the older ones. What's above you?
Then after Gen Z is Generation Alpha.
No, what's above you?
Millennials. Technically Zennials.
Babe, who's
then
older than
millennials.
you? The generation that is older than you.
Millennials. Older than me. So like the baby boomers from the
Baby
40s.
boomers
Yeah.
from the 40s.
40s and 50s.
If you can't handle your baby boomers, email us.
Thank you for that. Good save.
We can help you out. And if you're a baby boomer and you can't talk to your Gen Zs or millennials, I don't understand any of this. Email us. We got you.
Fuck around and find out. The worst that's going to
Let's
happen is your
go.
email's going to get read and we're going to look dumb as fuck doing it.
And hopefully we help you mend family ties or relationship ties or best friend ties. Every foundation is based in a relationship. So
That's funny.
continuing on.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know why that didn't register. You were saying older than me, and I'm like,
I was.
millennials, and you're like older. I'm like, oh, why'd you repeating yourself? I'm like, oh, I got it. You meant like the generation before mine. It's not my fault you married a fucking retard and decided to start a podcast with him.
I could see it on your face too. You're like, bitch, why are you repeating yourself? I said it.
Full chest. Wrong as fuck.
You're the one who's confused here.
Oh, man.
I was questioning myself too. I was like, wait, what did I just say?
Oh, shit.
I'm putting my foot up because I'm doing the mom squeeze so I don't pee my pants. Oh my goodness. Okay. Continuing on. I do value your opinions, and as someone who believes they have undiagnosed borderline personality disorder, I would think that you would understand where I stand in this thought process.
So wait a minute. So she's looking for somebody to validate her feelings. That's all this email is.
Or she's looking for a reality check or grounding, like how we need sometimes.
Right, but she went to her sister, and her sister already told her that there was nothing wrong with what was going on.
Yeah.
So she's looking for validation from somewhere else because she wants somebody else to take the side. The real question is if the husband agrees that it was inappropriate, that should be enough.
Yeah.
The husband should put a kibosh to it, like, hey, moving forward, guys, no more flirting at the table.
I look to you for everything.
Why then reach outside even further for more validation?
Right.
I wonder what the conversation with her husband looked like.
That's a good question. Well, as somebody with borderline and as a woman with borderline, because borderline affects the genders differently from my understanding. I mean, all borderlines are different. I would take a look at my insecurities and I would start to evaluate, do I feel I am worthy to be in a relationship with this man? Why do I feel threatened by women? Do I feel like I am not the best version of myself right now? There is an underlying issue here within yourself that has absolutely nothing to do with the relationship, has nothing to do with the D&D campaign. I bet it could have been any woman doing that at the table and you would have felt some certain way about it because it was a woman. And I say that as somebody who had to get over that kind of insecurity. I felt like every woman prior to my marriage with my husband, past relationships, I felt like every woman was a threat because I did not believe I was worthy of anything. So the next best thing is anything besides me.
We spoke on self-love and self-worth a lot over the first year and a half of this.
We did.
And I think a lot of that comes down to it. When you know your value, you know what you bring to the table, that insecurity leaves because you know that you're the best version of you. And if the people don't want to be there, you can't make them. Right. So like, I don't have that insecurity in me. I don't get me wrong. I might get jealous from time to time, but I'm also going to, peacock and squash that jealousy.
Yeah, I got that, bitch.
Right.
What?
Right.
Don't get too fucking close though.
I'm real petty with shit though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
There's a difference between being, maybe not. I don't know. I am petty, and if I felt like I was being threatened in any way by another person, I would show ownership. Like that's mine.
Good.
And then
I want to be shown off.
And you would be right.
Yeah.
But then afterwards,
I also want to be claimed. So.
Right. And afterwards, if the shit continued after that, it would become a problem. But it wouldn't be a problem with us.
No.
Because once that claim has been made and it's known, if the shit continues and now you're like challenging, we're about to lock horns. Like we can do that. But that's not going to be a me and you problem because you're not out there instigating that shit.
No.
So
I would stand back and let you do your thing with your locked horns and I would spit on him afterwards. Yeah, I'd make the sound and everything.
You'd be the next talk to a girl?
Yeah. But in a different version of standing behind my man.
Yeah.
I do the first version later to you though.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as I got it, that's all that matters.
All right. I think there's only about one sentence left.
I really think she needs validation. I think she's just looking for somebody to say that she's not crazy for feeling the way she feels. And if she would have told us exactly what happened with the role play scenario,
right?
Instead of she made a sexual whatever she made, we would know.
Right.
Because that matters. I
Yeah.
think how that would have been laid out would have given it a clear definition.
Yeah. I agree with that.
If you
Fucking thumbs. There we go.
if you are in a situation where you have a social setting and everybody's friends and that shit's happening, how do you address that from a place of insecurity without being over the top and crazy?
Oh, I hope you're not asking me a question.
Well, I mean, you are my co-host.
Oh, I'm sitting here reading.
I'll wait.
I'm going to hit you with what I hit the kids. I can't do two things at once, babe. I got to give you my undivided attention when I'm done with this. Are you going to lose that thought?
I already did.
Really?
Yep, it's gone.
Damn.
It'll come back.
Okay.
It will come back.
Okay, so I want to touch on my point.
Doink.
So you said she's searching for validation in her feelings, right? So what I'm about to say, if this makes absolutely no sense, I need you to tell me, okay? As somebody else with borderline or somebody who has borderline, she's undiagnosed, but she has the inkling. So if you think that you have borderline, your feeling is valid, and valid, the definition is having a sound basis in logic or fact, being reasonable or cognate, right? So I'm going to remove the sound base and logic because feelings are not logical majority of the time, right? But to be cognate, okay, hang on, I got to search the definition of cognate before I sound stupid. So cognate means clear, logical, or convincing. So I'm going to choose the clear cognate of that because it's clear to me how a mentally ill mind can come to that conclusion of I was disrespected just now, right? Especially if that's rooted in insecurity and low self-worth. Could be trauma response from past cheatings, whatever is going on. So I can validate the feeling in all of that turmoil. The facts of what was presented to us within the email does not sound like anything was done in slight to you or your relationship. So the feeling combined with mental illness is valid in itself, but combined with the situation is not.
Right.
Right? Okay.
It's okay to not be happy with the way something goes down. You can
Right.
feel however the fuck you want to feel about things.
Yeah.
You just can't expect others to conform to it.
Yes.
So my question was, because it ties right into what you just did.
Okay.
If you don't feel good about something that happened like that at a table, how do you address that situation without going over the top and becoming crazy about it? Would you pull the woman off to the side and be like, hey, that scene made me feel a little certain way?
So I actually have a real life instance that happened between us.
Okay.
Do you remember when we were doing those interviews and that girl was giving you fuck me eyes in front of me?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't notice it, but
No.
I did.
Yeah, I do. I remember that whole situation.
I kept my cool. I conducted the interview. You had no idea anything was wrong with me. And then I texted you when we had like a 2-hour break. And I let you know that I was getting ready to set this house on fire. So it was handled outside of the situation to the point to where I have calmed down enough to not blame you for, I didn't think it was your fault in the first place, but I was seeing red when it happened because that disrespect was loud from her. You don't give my husband fuck me eyes in front of me. I acted like a professional human being.
Right. Well, that was a work thing.
Right.
This isn't.
I would do the same thing.
Would you just wait and talk about it afterwards?
I would talk to you, yeah.
But you wouldn't address it with her.
Not if you felt like it didn't need to be.
So you'd come to me first.
I would come to you
We would
first.
have a conversation.
Right, because
Say-
you don't get affected by things the way I get affected by things.
Right.
So you're more rooted in logic. I have had knee-jerk reactions, and I've reacted in the moment to things, and it's always been a shit fire. So I will more than likely never handle something in the moment unless it's a dire situation, an emergency, someone needs to get put in their place. That kind of situation, I don't view that as, even if she did flirt with you at that table and you shut that shit down and it was very disrespectful and everybody saw it, I would not do that in front of the D&D table. We're in the middle of a campaign. There's 6 other people here trying to enjoy their evening.
Okay, so say you brought it to me.
Okay.
Let's say that it was very clear that she was flirting because we don't know what was actually said.
Right.
So let's just, for the sake of this hypothetical, assume she was actually flirting with the DM. You brought it to me. And I was like,
Did you shut this shit down? Because my first example, you shut it down.
oh, so what would that look like then? Because as a DM, if it continued,
Right.
if there was a back and forth,
Yeah.
and they actually role played,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So for me, shutting it down would be like roll.
Right.
We don't need to have this conversation. Just roll your
Right.
D20,
Yeah.
add your proficiency modifier or whatever, fucking blah,
So
blah, blah.
did you do that in her clear flirting? Did you shut it down?
Let's say I did. Let's say that she made her sexual innuendo and I was like, you have advantage because
Whatever.
go. And that's the end of it. And you brought it
Mm-hmm.
to me and I'm like, I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I think you're overreacting right now.
And I would trust your perspective on it.
And then I say I'm going to address it to the table. And I address it to the table and it happens again. But it's not as obvious. What if it's I don't know. I'm trying to give scenarios that are
I know ways women subtly flirt. Subtly?
subtly.
Subtly? That fucking bee. My imagination can think of things, right? So if she does something incognito that the whole table doesn't catch, or you don't catch, but me and the other women at the table catch it, right?
Okay, so how do you handle it at that point, knowing that I've already addressed it? Because I'm now worried about my shit.
Right. So if I catched it, if say me and Caitlin caught it, right? I would probably look at her to get her reaction. And if she made eye contact with me, then I would know that she knows that we both just caught that. And we would either have a conversation on the smoke break. Like, am I overreacting about this right now? Like, did you look at me because you knew that it would bother me? What was that? Why did this just happen? I would get her opinion on it. I would smoke to calm myself down. And then I probably would talk to her before we sit back down.
Okay.
I would talk to you first.
But how would the conversation with her go? Is really what I'm getting at. Are you going to be cool, calm, and collect? Or are you
I would
gonna
have
blow
to
her
be.
shit up? Okay.
No, I would be just like the way I'm talking to you now. I would be a little bit more stern, especially if she became combative.
Okay.
I don't need my husband's permission to kick you out of this fucking house. So let's try this again. Do you want to talk to me calmly? Because what you're doing at this table was disrespectful. My husband already addressed this once. And if you continue to do this, you're not going to be part of the campaign anymore.
Do you think that would be enough to make it stop?
In most scenarios, I think so. Because people aren't used to being spoken to that way.
Yeah. People don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
How long should something like that go on at a table from a player standpoint where everyone at the table is being made uncomfortable by situations like that before they should step in and say, hey, this is becoming inappropriate. This is no longer fun for us. This is kind of ruining the game. Because it is community storytelling, cumulative.
So for me as a player, you addressed it the first time. If it happened a second time, and say it wasn't a woman, right? Say it was a dude. Dudes are your handling. I don't handle men. I don't want to. So you would be having that conversation. So after that first conversation, if it happened a second time, I would be letting the DM know this is going to be my last game if this continues.
Okay. And that would be that.
Yeah. Because you're the DM, if my husband was not the DM of the game, I wouldn't feel like it's my place to say something directly to the player. I want to clarify that too. I would be the reinforcements on that for you as the DM because you've already said this once. Now I'm stepping in as the wife. Like you're fucking overstepping. My husband's already said this once. If I was a player, say with the game that we have on Friday nights, I would go to the DM first. And that's exactly what I would say. This is happening. It happened again. Either you can address it or I can say something, but just know if this continues and all the sexual shit keeps happening, I don't want to play in this campaign anymore. You can find somebody else to fill my spot.
I think that there's a lot of selfishness. So as a DM, you always know who your power players are going to be and the people who are most comfortable playing the game.
Right.
Because the people who are most comfortable tend to direct the table. Mm-hmm. So like right now, you and Zach on our Saturday night game run what's going on in the game because you two are the ones who are most comfortable in a D&D game because we play all the time.
Yeah.
When I sit down at a table, because I've been DMing for almost a decade, I very rarely get to play. When I get to play the game, I'm fucking playing the game.
Yeah.
And I have to dial it back and be like, what do you guys want to do? Because if nobody's speaking, I'm fucking speaking. I want to do shit. Let's do shit. And I know that I'm a very dominant in-game person, and it can actually be a turnoff for a lot of people playing the game because everybody wants to do things in game.
Right.
There are people who are just there for the social interactions. We call them the beer and pizza players. They want to just come out, have a social session, escape their fucking marriage, escape their job or their kids or whatever it is that they're trying to escape reality from for 4 or 5 hours every Sunday or whatever it is that they're playing. I think that there's nothing wrong with that because it does bring people together. It's no different than playing board game nights. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of fun for people. And that social interaction is something that a lot of people crave that they don't get anymore because everything's digital now.
Right. Everything's done online.
So I think that matters. And I think that if somebody is there is poisoning the well, so to speak, I don't think that needs to be let continue. I think it should be addressed once. And if it's addressed once and it continues again, you should get them away from the table. It's hard enough to get people to want to show up all the time anyways.
Right, and be consistent with it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's an hour of D&D email talk.
I enjoyed that talk. I think that was a very good conversation.
Okay. Do you guys in the chat have anything that you want to talk about? Any questions that you have about D&D or what you would think about the situation? We're going to use this as a way to advertise our Patreon.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Let's go.
While they wait on those, I'm going to read. I can't wait for the battles to see how character relationships develop. Tomorrow night's combat is going to be interesting because they're both going to be level 14 characters, and one of them is a black cloak guard that guards the king, and the other one is the first mate of the albatross, which is the boat that they're using to go, to the island. And both of them are built for two very different plays. So it'll be interesting to see how they play them. And it's also it'll be interesting to see how each player plays them because Peaches is playing Sarah and Zach is playing the Ironclad guy. So one's a barbarian, one's a rogue. And like they have very different strengths. And if they can play to the strengths, this is going to be a good fight. But I'm excited for it. Bandit said, how would you suggest someone that has never played get into a game? There's... what is it? Ready, Set Gaming, I think. You can actually find DMs that run games. They call them professional DMs that you can pay to run games, and it's like $20 a session. And every weekend, you send them $20 and they run the game for 4 hours, 5 hours, or however long it is, and you play in their worlds. The problem with that is that you're going to run into 3 types of DMs. You have the storyteller who just wants to write a book, that is too afraid to write a book because they're afraid they're going to fail. So they create D&D worlds where they try to push their story and they railroad the characters, and you have to do everything the way that they want you to do it, and it's not fun. It's a very story intense. You're just there to like pick your own page kind of thing, like we had in the 80s with those books. Then you have the sandbox D&D players where they have plot points that they just want to keep you hooked on so that you can get through the game, but you can do whatever you want really while you're there. And then you have DMs like I am, who's a world immersive DM. I created the world. I created a plot hook that I know how the game is going to end, and everything that happens between now and then is going to be solely based on the things that they decide they want to do. So right now, tomorrow night, if they're like, we want to go kill the king, and they have a way that they're going to go kill the king, I'm not going to stop them from trying. Do what you want to do. I don't recommend it. Are you sure you want to do this? Your dice rolls may not work out for you. You're level 2 still, like slow the fuck down. But it's their game. I'm there solely as like a rule broker and to make sure that there is enough information about the world that they get to interact. So you will need to find a DM that's good for you. As a first-time player, having a story-based D&D game lets you kind of get your feet wet without getting too much into having to understand the rules of the game. But ultimately, you need to mesh with your DM. So I would say finding a DM either online or getting somebody that wants to try it. All they got to do is buy the DMG, which is the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook, read through both of them, and then buy a module. It's not hard. It's very daunting at first because you don't know what you're doing, and it's like a whole lot of information. But when you realize how segmented everything is, it really comes down to the D20 dice and then understanding what modifiers to add. It's really not hard. I've tried to play D&D, but have a really hard time letting go of being self-conscious that I sound dumb to fully immerse myself in it. So that's normal, especially if you watch Critical Role.
Yeah, I was super self-conscious the first time I played D&D.
Right, that's normal.
Yeah.
And that comes from okay, so let's look at this from like a realistic perspective.
Okay.
Our social interactions after high school diminishes greatly. Like we go from being in our social cliques and our social circles and having our set group of friends to work, and like the interactions that we have get smaller and smaller and smaller. So when you get into a group of people that you're not really comfortable with, trying to role play and be an imaginative person and like be goofy, you go back to the high school mentality. And most of us had a really shitty middle school, high school, and you're afraid of being made fun of. But that's the beauty of D&D. Everyone that's sitting at the table is a fucking nerd. Like, we're all here to role play and do that. And it's not a matter about who's better at it than the other person. Some people like to do voices.
Yeah.
Some people want to method act.
Right.
You get the theater nerds that are really big into D&D, and they create a whole new persona for their characters, and it's a lot of fun for them.
Joaquin Phoenixes.
Right. But that doesn't mean that you're playing the game wrong if you don't do those things. Ultimately, it's just about having fun. But I understand the social anxiety that comes with that.
I still get anxious about playing D&D, especially the live one we do on Twitch.
Why?
Because I don't want to look stupid. As I sit here with a tissue ghost in my nose. Crazy about the things that can embarrass people.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a nose ghost. It doesn't phase you at all.
No, it doesn't. I'd rather this than just snot running down my face.
I had anxiety on our first game, like when we started playing on Twitch.
Yeah.
I was afraid that I was going to look really stupid, but I also realized that everybody that's playing with us are people that care about me.
Right.
And if the people in the chat don't like it, fuck them. We can just turn the stream off and keep playing. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm only letting people watch because people have interest in the game.
Yeah, they asked for it.
So it's one of those things that if they didn't want to see us DM and didn't want us to, watch us play, they wouldn't watch. There were a couple of people who commented on the life account that was like, I absolutely love Ellis. Like, there's people who love the character. I mean, it's fun.
That's
like,
awesome.
Well, you got to think when people watch Critical Role, they're watching grown voice actors play a character.
Right.
And I know that, like, I believe that this show is scripted, even though they say otherwise. D&D does not go that smooth. Like, even as a professional voice actor, you just got too much going on and everyone knows what's what for it to just not be a thing. Are you afraid that you're going to pull a giant slimy guy out of there at one point?
It's not that I'm afraid of it. I just don't want to subject them to seeing that.
Gotcha. Well, I think we can wrap up the podcast and hang out and bullshit for a little bit if you want.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
I could also do the second part of Aileen today.
Well, I mean, we could do that one, just cut. I can get up and walk away and you can jump right into that.
Did you have something you want to do after this?
Would probably be smarter to start another one.
Okay, let's do that then.
I have to be home by 5. It's 2:30, 2:40 now, so.
It's 2:40?
Yep.
Yeah, let's go ahead and record another episode. I'll probably do the Aileen thing tomorrow then. Because I want to cook. I want to make jalapeno poppers for tonight.
Well, I don't want to do another episode. I just wanted to get a Friday content done.
Right, and Friday content, yeah.
That's it.
Just today?
That's this. Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
If you don't want to do your other episode, I mean, you have 2.5 hours before we got to go home.
No, yeah, let's knock it out.
Okay. All right. Real quick. Off-topic question. Would you both ever write a book or workbook for couples coming from a wife who is looking to share this kind of information with my husband who is incarcerated?
Oh, gosh. I want to, but I need a ghostwriter. I need somebody who has the time who can write this out for me. Yeah.
I have no interest in writing a book. I did at one point. I wanted to write fantasy novels about children that like deities who are Nephilim, the children of angels and gods. Mm-hmm. And I started to. I got like 3 chapters done, and then I just...
Why?
Because it was like 20 years ago I started writing those books.
Oh.
And I still have the laptop. I don't even know if it'll turn on, but yeah. Okay, so we'll wrap up. I'll get up, turn this off, send a new link to Patreon so that they can get on and watch your episode, and we'll do that. So she'll be back in a few minutes, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, you are the author of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.